Hello and good evening everyone. Today is September 11, another episode of Ripster daily trade recaps and teachings. I will also review some market charts today in the end. Those of you who stay after the trade recaps, we'll look at some charts, some swing charts, spend few minutes. But anyways, back to our day trades. So guys, today was really good day in the market. Everybody should have killed it today, especially on the names like Tesla and Amazon and Meta as well. And big day, huge day for us on Tesla. I'll show you my I will show you my so today was if you were ready today with the pre-market, with your levels and the news and everything, it was a good strong day. Not really great day initially when you were trading indices, because it was a gap up day. But if you focused on the levels, your setups, you really nailed it. And I will show you how we nailed Tesla today for a huge win for everybody in the community. I even shared the setup on Twitter as well. So before I go on the individual plays, let's see what market was doing. So market today, the setup today was gap up day, right? So all we need to figure out was it going to be a gap up, gap fill, or was it going to be gap up, gap long? So what ended up happening was market tried to push the first candle and it rejected, and then it retraced part of its gap, right? You see how I draw the Fibonacci's here. So it rejected at that time, it's rejecting, and VIX was trying to break out of 1431. Again, this is our VIX strategy. It pushed, right? If you got an entry here for long, then you had to cut it right away, because this level, this particular pre-market level highs, it was not holding. And that was my warning right away when this was happening. I warned about SPY right away in my community that this is what's happening. So anyways, it was a gap up. So long was, you had to take the loss right here. You were not supposed to hold the longs because it was going back in the gap. Now what is a gap? I teach it every time. So gap is the price from close to the open. So all this shaded area was the gap. As you see, it filled half of the gap, more than half, and then held this level from the pre-market, right? You see this candle, you see this candle. So that's where it filled up, right? So there was no trade, maybe it was a short scalp in the gap, but since it was over EMA Cloud, so there was not really an A plus setup unless you got an entry right here for rejection scalp into 10 a.m. But there was a good trade that, I was talking about later in the day. Once this level held, once this QQQ based, and once the VIX started to fade under 14, simple. VIX is fading under 14, SPY is trying to curl, clear support levels over the EMA clouds, right long setup. So this was the one of the long setups that I guided in the room middle of the day. So that was the whole thing of the market today. So what market was doing. So that was the setup, right? Not a clean setup at the open, and maybe a midday curl. What I call it is a midday curl. It's like a B plus setup with a defined risk. Not really an A plus setup, but a midday curl on SPY and QQQ for some scalps. So now let's look at our main watch list, how we did today. So this morning there was a bunch of news on the main names, right? Tesla, Meta, Apple, all these had news. Amazon had a news. So these were all on our focus. I shared all the news as every day, went through all the news plays, reviewed everything. My news source 1, reviewed the news source 2. Qualcomm was also on our watch list. So Qualcomm was there. News on Qualcomm. SGM, which was today a loss, small loss on SGM. That setup did not work. And then we had Tesla, RTX. RTX I missed. I should have had it on my watch list. It was a nice short on RTX. Somehow I missed this. Usually I don't miss, but we missed this A plus short on RTX. But I know a few of our my traders who learned my teachings were trading on it. X trigger was on it. So he was talking about how it's on the daily chart and it's bearish and it can fade. So RTX was a short that was missed, but it just to show you guys what was the setup, right? Breaking the daily lows. It was on this daily support break, gapping down, EMA Cloud, short all the bounces, clear resistance at the pre-market high, and then there was a pre-market lows, and that was a short that we fade all day along this line. So anyways, so that was one of the trade I missed on the watch list this morning, but we did nail rest of them. So let's go one by one and see what else was there. So let's see. So after going through all the news, Tesla, Apple, Baba, Boeing, Meta, and then we created our watch list. So Microsoft was there too as well. So our watch list was ready today. Let's go back here. Yeah. So this was our watch list, guys. Tesla, Meta, Apple, Boeing, Microsoft, SGM, Roblox, Baba, and the marketplace. The levels were given. You can take a screenshot and review how the levels were working, how it did not work, right? So 456.54 was the support I gave, and look where it bounced, right there. 446.54, 446.54, and then back over 447. So just an example how the levels work. That's where I got my level, and this is where it bounced, right? So that was and yeah, not going to spend on this time on these levels, but you can take the look. Tesla, the support, even if you didn't follow my guidance, but the Tesla levels were clear, 261.20 right here. And then there was under that was the EMA Cloud resistance. So VIX levels 14, 14, 10, 14, all of them failed and market rallied. Today, one thing we noticed, guys, AMD and Nvidia were, weak out of the gate. AMD gave up the 107 level right here, and then it faded all the way, right? Let's see Nvidia level. So Nvidia, once it gave up the 460 level right here and then 456 right here, then it faded again all morning for a nice trade for the folks. So the reason I give these levels is because, so I encourage everybody to trade their own. So I help with the levels, people understand how the level work, and most of our traders are trading their own. They're taking these levels, matching with their levels and trying to execute based upon a repeatable system, right? When a level breaks, and that's when you change your bias. Right here, the bull bias went to bearish bias as soon as these levels broke. So you can clearly see how these levels work. So try to build your levels every morning, and based upon those levels and your trend system, that's how you trade. So yeah, AMD, Nvidia, the levels worked fine. So we were main focus out of the gate was Tesla. So Tesla, Morgan Stanley had an upgrade. We all knew that. So this was the plan. We were going to trade 265, 270 calls, bullish bias as long as 260 and 260 holds. Under that could gap fill, right? You have to be open for the both scenarios. I don't just think on the news and think, oh, news is bullish, it's going to run. I need to let the price tell me what it's going to do. And I will show you what I did was I even scalped Tesla short right at open, and then I covered when it was holding, and then I went long, then all day guidance on Tesla long, so that was the guidance. And then Meta was versus 300 level was the trade on Meta. I was long on Meta, got long, took some off, got out, got back long in, and nice trade on Meta as well. So let's see. SGM, I was a bearish bias. Roblox was a bullish bias. Baba was no bias today, but if you see, it broke the pre-market lows. Not my personal trade. Try to push try to push, failed, and when it break this pre-market lows, that's where you short it, and then you use your levels of pre-market to have a risk, right? If you risk 1, you made 2. So that's how you trade that. So let's see. Square was neutral to bullish bias. It pushed earlier in the morning, then it faded back. Qualcomm, 110 was the key level, and once it started to fade at open under the pre-market low, this was a minus short scalp into the EMA Clouds. That's what we did there. Let's look here what we did. Okay, so into the gap, watch bounces for the short, right? And that's what happened. It went from even when I mentioned it, went from right here 110.50s to 109s. Decent scalp trade there. And then I said should be out of the short. I mentioned this here, should be out of the short. Why? Because it's bouncing over the bullish EMA Clouds. It's still a bullish trend because it's filling the gap and then hold this level. And since after my statement, and look how it bounced from 109.50s to back to 111s, right? So that's how you trade. It wasn't the perfect trade there on Qualcomm, but was decent scalps. All right, so now we go back to our Tesla trade. So let me just show it in a different way. So you can go on my Twitter and you can see the, how we traded it today. Vin, as always, was focusing on Tesla today. His main focus was Tesla. And as you see, my plan was 265, 270 calls. So initially what I did in Tesla was I shorted it for the scalp. Let me show you. So, okay. So I was shorting it, right? So I was shorting the Tesla. Then I was on the voice and because I was shorting it, you don't have to short it because I was scalping it. But I was talking about this 260 level, this EMA Clouds, this level. This is the level it needs to hold for the long. And this was the plan in the pre-market, not after the fact. And everybody played according to the rules, right? If anybody was short and he held the short, then he was not playing the setup. So anyways, I was out of my short scalp in first 5 minutes, 9:35, and I took long versus 260.50, right? Win was long versus 260. And as it started to break out, we were waiting for this range breakout. This is when you add more, right? This is when you add more. Let me show you how we did it. Let's see. Okay, so let's look at here, right? So let's see. So what did I say in the morning? Even on Twitter, this is the range breakout. Still working on that range breakout over PM highs, right? We added here. We were waiting for this range breakout. What happened? Started to break out 267s. What happened next? 272 logged most, right? And then my targets were 275. I gave the targets, so 270, 272. How I found those targets, I will explain in a bit. So as you see, 275 was my next target. I was short by 15 cents. That's fine. You scale in, scale out. You don't always meet your targets, but the point about target is to hold your winners, let them work, right? The 270 options I mentioned in the morning went 300%. I mean, these are the days when even if you took one option, 2 contracts, 300, 600, you turn that into 2000. That's how you grow your small account. That's how you do it. So these are the days that you should A+ setups like Tesla, you should size in and let the trade work, right? So anyways, so this was all that, about Tesla, all the commentary you can see here, right? Dipsog 265, next target, 270 calls, then 270 was the next target, hold them, I was talking about holding them the calls. The reason I talk about this is, I help people to try to make sure they hold their winners, right? It's not I'm alerting them or giving any financial advice. This is all about teaching. Like, how I can help them to build a confidence to hold it. There was no reason cutting it. Look at it, 512 EMA Clouds holding. Look at what it did after this PM high breakout. Look at from 266, it did not even stop till 272. So that's what I'm talking about. You know, let your winners run. You know, if you have 270 options, here take the 270 options. If you're an option trader, add 275 options, right? Use the profit to keep scaling in, keep growing. If you have 1,000 shares, you know, add more shares here, average up, take, you know, let's say you have 1,300 shares, take 500 shares off here, another 300 here, hold for to see if the trend holds, and then you take 200 here, and then you finally take everything off right at the top. So scale out. Don't try to take out everything right at same time. Try to see how the trade is working. Don't focus on P&L, focus on the chart. Let chart tell you. When the chart is going, just focus on your chart. Don't have P&L on your, you know, screen. Just let the chart work and your P&L will grow. So anyways, so you guys see, so Tesla, all guidance is right in front of you, right? So this is what it's about, right? Learning and trading and growing, you know, that's what we do in our community. So anyways, so let's look at our loser this morning, which was SJM. So SJM, I was a tiny short because I was not really confident for that setup. You know, I hit short right at the open. It was working, dipped a little, 130 from 131s. You know, I still held it, and when finally it started to, remember what I always say, lower lows, lower highs. If you're short, lower lows, lower highs. You need to see that. I never saw that. I saw one candle, but then it bounced right back up, Then it was not giving up. I started to give warnings after 10 a.m. Then I said I will bail if it keeps holding. And then I finally bailed, took a small loss out of it, you know, for like a 90 cents loss, and I was out. So that was our loser of the day. Let's look at Amazon. So Amazon, guys, again, relative strength, watch pullbacks. We also had news that I shared about Amazon in the morning. Right at the open, I said watch pullbacks. And as you see, my targets on Amazon were 141.30, 142. Met the first target, met the second target. And the whole day, Amazon kept going. Here's my recap of all my Amazon guidance. Beautiful, beautiful trade on Amazon. Right, so yeah, as you see, two big winners, Tesla, Amazon. We can take a look at Meta. So why did I like Meta, right? Because Meta in the morning pre-market plan was will trade versus the 300 level, and 301 is also a key level. I was long right at open. I was long, went to 306. I took some of 306 when it was coming back. You know, market was dropping. You know, I just took it off because I had my profit. I wanted to make a green trade, but I didn't keep it away from my eyes. I still was watching it. Right after I closed, after another 8 minutes, I saw that it's holding, it's flagging. So I wanted another entry. My risk was 301s. And because there was a breakout setup as well on 1 hour chart. You see here, breakout setup. And then finally got a dip on 34.50 and the push. So that was the plan, and the push and the flag breakout. When I talked about this breakout at 10 a.m., right? So I talked about this breakout at 10 a.m. The moment the flag broke out, boom, Meta went to 309. If you see the morning longs, so Meta was still a $7 long. First trade was $3-4, back in, and big trade. Reason, the EMA Cloud System. What was the setup? Gap up long. What was the system? EMA Clouds were telling me, and this, look at this. Did you see this? This is the support, and opening price is also a very important level, right? So you have to do that. Wherever you add, let's say you add 302.50, right? So my average was not there, right? So I almost averaged close to 303. small size, and I filled some limit orders here, so average was almost 3 or 250 something, but my stops was like $1.50 stops, and then risking $1.50 I got almost $5 there. So that is the risk reward that you need to trade. So here's the recap. I even posted on Twitter how Meta worked. So that was our trade on Meta. There was another good trade today in community by Win. Win focuses on special setups and he always kills them. So Uber was strong, was pushed back to the EMA Clouds, and then Uber rallied all day towards 50, right? So you can see Uber back on highs, so Win was all over the Uber. So love the commentary there. So it was really good. Also, let's see what else we were trading. We can check our SPY QQQ quickly. So as you know, I was short scalping SPY the first trade, right? So that was my short scalps right at open. I was short scalping SPY. It was working in the gap fill when I saw this lower candle breaking, so almost got good 15% move on the options there. And then once it started to base, was out of the short scalp. Then there was a curl over EMA Clouds. The price alerts were going in. SPY was breaking trend line, and QQQ were going as well. So very strong push. So here's the QQQ curl idea, and then QQQ was nice move all day after the midday curl setup. So let's see what else. Yeah, I have some Roblox swing, but it broke 3450, came down, still the swing setup, no day trade there. Okay, Disney, yeah, so Disney, there was a news and Disney gave us a trade before failing. Let's see what trade was that. So Disney, so let's see. So I was on the Voice on Disney, I think, yeah. So I was on the Voice and we were talking about that Disney gap. When the news came out, Disney was still in the gap, and then it pushed and filled the gap completely. Look at that. So this was a gap fill long scalp, and you were supposed to take the profits here. If you did, then you don't care if it fades back. So gap lows, gap highs always act as a resistance support. So you need to remember